right, good morning, everybody. My name is Stu Seltzer, and we are about to start a seminar on cracking the licensing code, some essential basics. So I've done a seminar on licensing a number of years. I've done kind of a licensing 101 basics. If you've seen that, there's some new content here. If you haven't seen that, you can go to our website, our YouTube channel, and go and find, it's about an hour long on the basics of licensing that you might find interesting. All right, so a quick agenda of what we're going to talk about today. And here's our agenda. I'm going to start with a few slides on licensing theory, and then we're going to get into three essential basics, just three key things that I want to leave you with. Number one, to talk about, is your brand ready for licensing? Number two, to talk about your licensing goals. And number three, to talk about other trade shows. It's a bit of a secret of where to find your next licensing partner. Okay, you all have some handouts. We're going to do a little exercise a little later. And at the weigh-in, I think this goes for 30 minutes, at 11:30, we'll have some time for some Q&A. All right, so before I start, here's a quick question for the group. How many people in the group are brand owners? Just raise your hand. All right, how many people in the group are brand licensees, manufacturers, licensees? Okay, and how many people are support people, the designers, the lawyers, the accountants, the agents, and so forth? Okay, great. So the majority of people here are brand owners, which is great because a lot of this content is geared towards you, especially the exercise. All right, a quick synopsis of my background. I started my career in licensing in a fashion company, Yves Saint Laurent, and worked there while Yves was alive and well, making dresses that cost $5,000 to $10,000. We did everything else. We did all the licensing out to Luxottica for eyewear, to Cartier for jewelry. We did shoes, we did handbags, and so forth. But that's really where I learned the licensing business. From there, moved on to Warner Brothers, worked on the Batman brand. And at Yves Saint Laurent, we had 15 licensees. At Warner Brothers, just on Batman, we had 450 different licensing partners. From there, started this company, the Seltzer Licensing Group. You can visit us later at D134 to see some of the work we're doing with brands such as Red Cross and National Parks Foundation and Airheads and Unilever, and been working there now. It's going on 24 years. And the last thing to share is that for the past 20 years, just finished my 20th year as an adjunct professor at NYU, where I've been teaching a class, a 3-credit undergrad class on brand licensing, where we cover sports, fashion, entertainment. It's really primarily for marketing majors, juniors and seniors, and undergrads. And you have the benefit because I've been able to take a lot of that content and put it into this presentation, because that class is a 3-hour class for 15 weeks, and here we're gonna cram it all into 30 minutes. Not all, but some of it. But here I'll start with this. This is your basic Marketing 101 pyramid slide, but this is the first slide that my students see on the first day of class, because I use it to show why licensing works. And it's your basic licensing 101 pyramid, because the goal of all licensing is to get, the goal of all marketing is to get your customers, move them up the pyramid. They become they try out your product, they seem to like it, and then at the top of the pyramid, they become your loyalist. They become your best customers. They become apostles for your brand. Their brand affinity goes up. And those guys turn into fans. And once they're fans of your brand, that's when they're gonna buy other products and services with your brand on it. And that's true whether it's a Batman lunchbox, whether it's a Vegas Knights jersey, or whether it's a National Park line of t-shirts. So that is kind of the basic theory, and that's why we share that first slide with those NYU students. I'm gonna share a quick story, basic story about licensing and about a t-shirt company, Bob's T-Shirts. Bob was running a t-shirt company, he was selling black t-shirts, everything was fine, but he wanted to grow his sales. Somebody told him he can use licensing as a vehicle to boost his sales. And what did he do? He took some seminars, learned how to do it, and he heard about Batman being a popular brand, so he struck a deal and he licensed in the brand Batman from Warner Brothers, put it on his t-shirt, and put it out there in the market, and before you knew it, he was selling like hotcakes. It provided a huge spike in sales. And he paid a royalty back to Warner Brothers for using that Batman license, and they all lived happily ever after. And so that's kind of a real snapshot of a licensing story. Now, a lot of you are brand owners here, and the question is, when is the right time, and why should you even license out your brand? And I think there's three key questions, three key things. And this is, sometimes clients will say, can you help us on a licensing strategy on a one page? And don't write me a 50-page presentation, one page. Here's your one-page presentation on a licensing strategy. Three key questions. Number one is the market big enough? And we'll take Batman, for example. Batman wants to do a Batmobile toy. And is it big enough? Yes, toys, that's a big market. I'm going to go up here. Sorry there. Yes, toys is a big market. So Batman putting a Batmobile together, the answer is yes. Number two, is it relevant? Does toys make sense to the Batman brand? And the answer there is yes. And then final question, which is a key question, is does your company, do you as a brand owner, do you have the capability, do you have the competency to make that product? Does Warner Brothers have the capability to make a toy? And the answer is no. They're an entertainment company. They are not a manufacturer of toys. And because of that, they will have two choices. They could maybe go buy a company or do it themselves, but really the option is to license out to a real expert. And this is the basic key question. So again, three key questions. Do they have the capability, is the market big enough? Yes. Is it relevant? Yes. Do they have the capability to make it? No. And that's why they license out Batman to a toy company to make that. Every year, License Global puts together a list of the top 150 licensors. And I've taken that list, and I've put that list on this page, and I only put the top 20. And I put the list together to prove a point that these brands that I'm going to share with you, primarily, they're all at this show. They're all at this show, and they're all very strong, and they all have a lot of awareness, very high awareness, and all the things that make the brand relevant and strong and appealing and in demand for people who are walking the show. So here's a quick question. I have the list here of the top 20 licensors based on how much revenue they generate. Anybody want to take a guess of who might be on this list? Disney, here we go, in the front row. She says Disney, number one on the list. And it's been number one ever since the list was created. Before they bought Marvel in 2008, before they bought Lucas in 2012, they've been number one. And you're saying all the other entertainment companies, you started to shout it, yes, all these other entertainment companies that you see around the show, they're all on the top 20 list as far as royalty income. Warner Brothers, Pokemon, and you might not know Toei that owns Dragon Ball Z, and Bandai, and of course Paramount, Sanrio that owns Hello Kitty, and so forth. Other brands, any other brands want to shout out? I just gave you the hint. All the fashion brands that are up here. And any other that I'm missing that, anybody have any guesses of who else I'm missing here? Sports, it's interesting. This list came out, and it's the first time the top 20 list doesn't have a major sport brand. The NFL was number 21. They didn't make my cut. They're on the list. The NBA is like 25, and the NHL is 35, and so forth. So they're up there, but they're not in the top 20. But the other one, corporate brands, whether it's Meredith with their Better Home and Garden alliance with Walmart, whether it's the Serta. I know somebody here has told me they're working with the mattress companies. So you see a lot of big corporate brands are generating a lot of revenue using the licensing model. An interesting point also is we took the list and we said, all right, what are the categories of all those brands where all the revenue is coming in of these 150 companies? And what was interesting is that the number one category, of course, is entertainment. But the big reveal to us was that the number two category was not sports, was not fashion, but it was corporate brands are generating tremendous revenue, whether it's a motorcycle brand or a car brand or we know we work with a lot of corporate brands ourselves, and it's amazing to see that is a huge category of licensing as you walk around this show. The other thing I wanted to share is that we did some analysis on this to find out, and there was a survey done where they asked these 150 companies, what is your #1 licensing goal out of all the goals? And there's a lot of goals. Anybody want to take a guess? What is the #1 goal? What the big answer was? Sales or revenue? Royalty revenue. Yes. Expand the brand. Yeah. So the #1 answer is what a few of you just said, which is revenue. They all wanted, they're doing licensing for revenue. Of course, that's the name of the game. We're here to expand the brand and so forth and generate revenue. But the big reveal here is that all these other reasons, brand awareness, brand extension, trademark protection, that makes up more than the #1 reason. So that 55%, more than half of the people are doing licensing for something beyond revenue. So that was just something to keep in mind as we try to figure out your own goals. All right, so here's a quick exercise that I'm going to work on, and then we're going to take about 2 minutes and we're going to pair up and you're going to work on the exercise yourself. So the question is your brand ready for licensing? Because that's a key question, because we meet with a lot of companies that maybe are not ready, and they come to us and they have great art and maybe some great sales, but maybe their awareness is not national yet, or maybe their awareness is not very broad. And a lot of people here are great at licensing, but maybe our expertise is not in brand awareness. It's really in brand extension and really in licensing. So here's an exercise we're all going to do, and you're going to do it with your neighbor, to figure out, is your brand ready for licensing? And as you think about it, you have to think about the 3 key customers. Whenever you license, every brand here and all you brand owners out here, there's 3 key people you have to think about. You have to think about the retailer, which is the most important. They're the gatekeeper. Maybe they're not the most important, but an important first step. You have to think about the customers, because at the end of the day, do the customers want it? Will the customers buy it? Will the customers demand it? Will they come back and have a repeat purchase? So there's a lot of questions and analysis to find out, does this appeal to the customers? And the third, of course, which is why everybody's at the show, is to find the manufacturer. The brand owners want to find the licensees. And so that is another key question. Does this appeal to the licensees? So here's the 3 key questions. #1 is, does your brand have high awareness? Another way of saying that, do we know who you are? One of our clients is the Red Cross, and most people know who they are. They have 99% brand awareness in America. #2 question, are there clear core brand attributes? In other words, do you know what you do? And for the Red Cross, for the most part, people know they're the #1 blood collector. They are there in case to prepare people for emergencies, to help when there's a hurricane and crisis, and so forth. So for your own brand, do they know what you do? And third question is, do the products that you're thinking of, do they make sense for the brand name? Another way of saying that, do your customers give your brand permission to extend to these products? One example here is we've extended the Red Cross brand to many things. We've done fire extinguishers, we've done first aid kits, but one big example is a smoke detector. First, Red Cross, of course, they're there whenever there's a crisis in America, but day in, day out, they are there for fires. When there's a home fire, Red Cross is there in the local communities and help resettle people and help and so forth. So we licensed their brand to a smoke detector, has done well at Home Depot and so forth. But for this example, does your brand have credibility to go to another product category and so forth? All right, so I'm looking at a clock here, exactly 11:13. If everybody can pair up into 2s, take out your sheet and talk to your neighbor and score each other's brand on the bottom left, on the bottom right, and talk about your brand and talk about your neighbor's brand. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 is very high, 1 is very low. Just scale your other brand. All right, let's begin. Hold on, yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Hey. Hi. I'm the speaker. We're doing an exercise. All right, one more minute. All right, 30 seconds more. Okay, good. So I know it's short, and you'll have plenty of time after to continue, and make sure you guys exchange business cards. You can continue after the show as well. But hopefully this was somewhat revealing. I don't know if there's any brands that got a full 15. That would be the awesome, a great score. And maybe you should be exhibiting if you have a 15. And but maybe you got only a 3, and maybe you should, keep working towards increasing that. But we believe, just back of the napkin, that anybody with at least a 12, a 10 or above is worth really doing some exploration in licensing. 10 and below, a lot of times we'll share with our clients that maybe the brand's not ready. We have a process that's much more intensive than this little exercise, but we just wanted to show you from a brand owner's point of view of what some of the key things that you need to think about as you think about licensing out your brand. So that's the first. All right, we're gonna pivot now, and I'm gonna look at things from the licensee's perspective. I'm gonna start with a quick video to show you the strength of some of these brands that are on display here. Hold on. I'm gonna show you a video. This is about a 20-second video showing the power of the licensing. It was a real Dateline segment by Hoda Kotb. Hold on. One sec. Here we go. All right.
First, we asked 3 and 4-year-olds to choose between a cupcake with the American flag and one with a familiar cartoon character.
This cupcake or this
Mm,
cupcake? It tastes better than this one?
yeah,
Why do you like that one better?
because it's Spider-Man.
Almost all the kids picked a character over the red, white, and blue. So we upped the ante. We asked these preschoolers to choose between a cupcake and a banana. This time we recruited Scooby and Shrek to pitch the fruit.
There's banana.
Most went with what Shrek and company seem to endorse.
So maybe licensing is the solution to childhood obesity, right? So here's part 2.
Finally, to see just how far these characters could sway kids, we asked what would they rather have for breakfast? A banana or a rock? We decorated the rock this time.
Which would you rather have for breakfast? For breakfast.
This
For breakfast.
this
The overwhelming majority went straight for the rock.
Again, just showing you the power of some of these brands that they will go and choose a rock for breakfast. All right, so from a licensee's perspective, anybody here, I know there's a lot more brand owners here, but you really need to understand what your prospective licensee is thinking of. And they're thinking of two key things. Number one, will your brand boost their sales? One example is an inflatable chair. We worked with the company years ago and helped them get a license that really spiked their sales by getting them the NFL license and so forth. Another one, a great case study we use in our NYU class, is Gund. And this happened in the 1970s. Gund was a teddy bear company making an awesome teddy bear, but they took in a license that spiked their sales, took them to new heights. Anybody want to guess what license they took for a teddy bear? Which one? No. No, not Care Bear. No, not Build-A-Bear. Oh, Winnie the Pooh. Yes, Winnie the Pooh is the right answer. And as you can imagine, just took them to new heights by putting a brand on their product. The number two reason your prospective licensee is going to think about is will your brand enhance their brand? Will it give them credibility? And some examples there, we worked with FTD Flowers and wanted to reach 20-year-olds and really have credibility with the 20-year-olds. So they licensed in Vera Wang and created a whole new business or URL of Vera Wang Flowers. Another example with that is work we've done recently with a gym, with a TV show brand called American Ninja Warrior. So on behalf of American Ninja Warrior, we licensed that brand out to a gym operator that ran trampoline parks. So now there exists some real fitness centers branded as the American Ninja Warrior Adventure Park. Wait, this is a quick clip of the Ninja Warrior, and we're not going to show that right now, but we're going to come back to that, maybe. All right, so they have a decision to make, your prospective licensees. What brand should I license? Should they license a brand that scored a 3, scored a 5, scored a 10? Should they go for the Batman? And of course, the royalty rates will differ if they're going to Batman versus, in this case, the Red Bee, or versus Pippa versus Hokey Wolf. So they have a choice, and you have to just be cognizant that they have a choice. Because at the end of the game, the licensing is really about taking risks. And there's a lot of risks to consider. There's inventory risk, financial brand risk, and it also depends. Also, it's important to understand who has each risk. If you are the brand owner, you're the brand owner here, and if you're the brand owner, you don't have, and you're going to license out your brand to a company to make apparel, we'll say, you don't have the inventory risk of those t-shirts. You don't have the financial risk of paying for those t-shirts to be made, of warehousing those t-shirts, of hiring the sales force and so forth. But you do have a brand risk. You do have that risk where you're trusting your brand to somebody else. But the licensee, they have the risk. They have the inventory risk. They have the brand risk, but they don't have the brand risk. If something happens, that's okay. They'll pick up another brand and try it with somebody else. So it's really about understanding the risks and understanding big picture that, licensing, like most of business, is a game of risks, of trade-offs, of calculating your ROI and so forth. Another key tip is kind of cracking the code is on the negotiations. And there's no secret formula, but there's 4 key points that I wanted to share with you as you are about to negotiate your own deals that, if we have time, there's some sheets here of what a deal sheet might look like and things like that. But the 4 key numbers are the royalty rate, the minimum royalty payment guarantee, the exclusivity. Will they give it to you exclusive? Or will they give you a non-exclusive so you have to compete with a lot of other people? And finally, how are they going to calculate the net sales? Those are kind of the 4 most contentious or 4 most debated points when you strike a deal with a company. And the reason is that the licensees and the licensors want different things. The royalty rate, the brand owner wants it to be high. The licensee wants it to be low. The guarantee, the brand owner wants it to be high. The other licensee wants it to be low. And exclusivity and a net sales calculation and so forth. All right, the final key point I want to leave everybody with is that where do you find your licensing partners? So a lot of you are brand owners and you're thinking, okay, I have a brand, I scored 10 points, I scored a lot, and I'm ready to go find a partner. Well, of course, one idea is to exhibit here, and a lot of licensees are walking around. But I'm here to share as cracking the code that there's a lot of other licensing opportunities at every other trade show. And we have, our company has gone to 18 trade shows in the past 12 months, and we've been doing little recap reports that are about 60 to 90 seconds each. And they're on our website, on our YouTube channel. And here's a quick look at what that looks like. This is about a 50-second video.
I heard these seltzer here at the Sweet Snack Show in Chicago.
National Hardware Show. CES 2023.
At the Expo West trade show.
Vision Expo recap. World of Concrete trade show. Who would have thought? The World of Concrete has licensing.
Produce and Floral Show in Orlando, Florida.
So there's a quick look, and again, there's about 18 of those on our website. Each one is about 60 to 90 seconds, but as far as a big tip of where to find your next licensing partner. So here's my final slide, which is I'm going to leave you with what I call the 4 Ps of licensing. Number 1 is plan. Consider creating a strategic plan, a licensing strategic plan to go and understand where you're going, create your own roadmap first, and then go and try to execute it. So number 1 P is for plan. Number 2 is partner, and it's all about selecting the right partner. That is the most important thing, and make sure you come to a trade show and meet them in person or visit them and have a real connection when you are selecting your partner. Number 3 P is for profit. And for that, what I mean to say is that it's really about the metric. Figure out how are you going to measure success. Is it sales? Is it royalty income? Is it number of brand impressions? Whatever it is, make sure you understand what those are, set expectations, and then every 6 months or so come back and see how you're doing. And finally, a shout out to all of us who are in the supporting industries to consider using professionals to help accelerate your success, whether that's licensing agents or attorneys or accountants or consultants and so forth. So that is our talk. We have a couple of minutes. We're going to stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes. But before we do that, I know we have officially 3 minutes left. Kristen on my team is going to walk around. We have a quick door prize. Anybody who wants to enter, we are raffling off, just as a quick door prize, the AirPod, an Apple set of Apple AirPods, and drop your card or just write your name on your name and email or name and phone number on a card or a piece of paper, or you can, and drop it in. She'll keep walking around the aisles, and we'll do some Q&A, and then we'll call a little door prize and go from there. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time and look forward to some of your questions. Anna? Okay.
Hello. So we've got a roaming mic, so if you want to pop your hand up, I can come round and we can do some Q&A. I see a hand up over here.
Right here in the front row.
Hi, thank you, Stu. What a great presentation. I'm going to ask, I think I only need to ask one question, but it's combined with a couple of things. You said your brand has to have high awareness. How do you quantify high? What is that? Barometer?
How do you know if your brand has high awareness? So these days, it's easier than in the past. 10 years ago, you would have to call a research firm, and they would do some survey and figure out, and there are trackers. Oh yeah, my brand is 95% brand awareness nationally. It's aided awareness or unaided awareness. Those studies still exist. Today, it's easier because if you say, look, I have 10 million Facebook fans or 10 million Twitter followers or so many Instagram followers, that right there is brand awareness, and that means something. So
Awesome.
That is a quick way to do back of the napkin. This might not answer all the questions, but that's a quick way to start.
Okay, so then my part 2 has to be, I'm specifically working with art and design, so I work
Yes.
with artists and So I'm just wondering, in that realm, what that looks like for awareness, because I work with Black artists, Latino artists who haven't been historically recognized
Sure.
or in this industry. So
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to get your thoughts.
So again, the key question there is how do you take your brand that is not known nationally or not known, and how do you build the brand awareness? And that's a very good question, but that's not a licensing solution as much as a marketing solution. I'm not sure what the answer is because there's so many varieties, but there's a lot of expert artist agents around here that probably can give you some tips of how to get the awareness in the art industry or do it in galleries or museums or social media. I'm not exactly sure, but you're asking the right questions for sure. You bet. All right. Okay. And Kristen, when you're done, just walk right up here.
So if you have a product
Yes.
and you want to get it into the hands of a licensee or licensor, how do you get it past the gatekeepers?
Give me an example. You mean you are a manufacturer, you have a product, and you want to...
I'm a game developer.
Yes.
And I want to get it licensed so that they'll manufacture it. I know I'm in the wrong trade show,
First
but...
off, I'll start by saying most everything we're doing here at this show is around trademark licensing. And I say that because some game developers we've met yesterday had some great technology, but it's really about the patents they were looking to license, not the trademarks, the brand names. So we're really focused on the brand names. So if you have a game and you're looking to find a brand, is that right? You're looking to find a brand, or you're looking to sell it to a brand, or?
Okay, I'm looking to sell it to a brand. It's already copyrighted and trademarked, but I'm looking to sell it to
So
like
a great
Mattel
example
or
is this, and
Hasbro.
I don't know if this is your example. There's a Niantic Labs, great company. They developed this product. Anybody know that company? Okay, is that where you're from? Oh, no, okay. They had this great product, and they launched it, didn't do so well. And then they got a license, and they became one of the biggest phenomenons of the year. What license did they get? The Pokemon license in Pokemon Go. But without that, it was a really cool technology and so forth. So your question is, how did they take that technology and maybe get the Pokemon license? Is that what you're saying? So how do you get it? You're at the right place because you walk around to these booths and you ask for an appointment and you meet with them and you show them your stuff. You're at the right place. And there's no secret formula. You're doing everything right. You're at the show. You're learning about it. Now after this, you're going to walk to the booths that you think your brand fits and ask to meet the decision makers and get the answers. And hopefully you'll get the right answer you're looking for. But good luck. Yes. All right. And
One more question?
sure. Yeah, you can keep going. Yes.
Hello. I always understood trademark and brand as the same thing. But see, here I see you're talking about two different things. You're disclosing trademark and brand as different. Would you please tell me the difference?
Trademark, in my opinion, is the same thing as a brand. Yeah. Trademark is just the legal term. In the old history, it dates back to the time when there were farmers and there were cows. And Joe had a farm with these cows, and everybody knew Joe's cows were the best. And he would take it to the county fair, and everybody wanted Joe's cows. He fed them organic grass, or really took good care of them. And then what he did is he then took that iron thing and put the word Joe on his cow, and that's the old brand mark. And then the legal term is a trademark, and only Joe could sell Joe's cows because it was marked with Joe on. Everybody knew it was Joe's cows. But yeah, it's essentially the same thing. Yes.
Alrighty, so let's say we've gone through all the qualifications and we think that we are ready for licensing.
Yes.
And we want to go and get an appointment, but you don't want to be underprepared. What are just like the main bullet points of what we can expect in that meeting? I think that's the question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You went to the booth at Pokemon, you have your game, you want to show it to them. Or actually, a better example, you have you're the brand owner, and you have a meeting with Hasbro, and now here's your big shot. You have 5 minutes to make or break it. You want to tell them about your brand. You want to tell them about your brand awareness, how many followers you have, what your social media impact is, what your own brand plans are, how you're going to continue to support the brand, and what makes your brand different than all others. Why is your brand better than your competitors? And basics like that will make it stand out. And then, you know, who else are you working with? Who are your other licensees? And if they want to know, oh yeah, you already have a base. If you're pitching a company that's doing, you know, we'll say accessories or bracelets, well, that's hard because they want to know, oh, do you have somebody already doing the apparel or doing the watches or doing some of the bigger categories? Sometimes you start with the bigger categories first, and then it's easy to get the smaller guys on board. So yeah. All right, one final question, then we'll call the raffle.
Hi, I was wondering what the pros and cons are of licensing your brand to like social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, or even like in-game like Roblox, right?
So that comes down to the awareness factor. You know, people will, I don't really understand when you say take your brand and license it to TikTok. I don't know that they're licensing a brand.
So they're like digital items that they can use your brand.
Got it. So it all comes down to the awareness and the target market. If you have a brand you're trying to reach the kids, you want to reach the younger audience, absolutely, that's the place to be. And tons of pros to go and do that. Of course, the cons are, you know, will you be able to keep control of that? I did a seminar recently with somebody who works at Fortnite, and they were talking about their alliance with the NBA. And what was interesting is they did an alliance with the NBA, and the little avatars that you created with NBA brands and so forth, they will live forever at the Fortnite game. And the NBA was a bit freaked out because they're, hold on, how can that be? We're just doing a licensing deal for 3 years. No. It's like selling a t-shirt. After the term is up, you don't get the t-shirt back. In the digital world, it's the same thing. It will live forever. And if you're licensed your brand to Roblox or to avatars or digital, it will live forever. So just be careful. That's the biggest con to be mindful of. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask if you want to come up, and where's Kristen? Kristen I want to ask you to pull a name out of the hat here, and you'll pull one name. The pressure's on. And this presentation, I think, will be available, and if not, this is my email. I'm happy to share this and links to the YouTube sites. You want to read it out?
Okay, the winner is Storyloggy.
The name's on that side, I think.
Kat and Jake Kalmick.
Kat and Jake, okay.
Woo!
We get one
Round of
earpod
applause.
for each. Kat gets one, the left one, and Jake gets the right one. All right, so I'll stick around another 5 minutes if you want to chat more. But again, thank you all for your time, and good luck in the licensing industry.
And can you just quickly as well, the show orientation session is about to start. If you're new to the show and haven't been before, this is a tour of the show floor. Cassius, my colleague waving at the back, will direct you around the show floor. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. He has all the knowledge. Thank you very much.